Plenty of West Ham transfer news, and coming up on today's show, Pablo Fornals set to join Real Betis, as well as an inquiry about the availability of Ben Johnson has been rejected from West Ham. Those two stories are coming up next right here on West Ham Unofficial. Welcome to our transfer show. Just a couple of days until the deadline, Thursday, 11 p.m. in England, where the transfer deadline day door slams shut. It looks like a couple of players could be leaving West Ham in Fornals and Benrahma. I did a video on Benrahma, a little update earlier on. Now talking about Pablo Fornals, ex-WSU employee released a little bit earlier on that the departure of Pablo Fornals is imminent. He is set to join Real Betis with an announcement expected very soon. That comes from X. People have put it on Twitter. And I think there's just been a sense of reflection on Twitter today about Pablo Fornals. There's been some, sad posts about him, sort of, because he's been a good servant to the football club. But ultimately, the fact and reality of it is he's not good enough. We can't be living in the past. He's not good enough for West Ham. And his performances as of late have displayed that. And it's time to move on, and all good things got to come to an end. And it feels like this is the natural and correct time for us to let the Spaniard go. And he's experienced some good times at West Ham. And I think the last sort of few months have been quite difficult for him with the lack of game time and lack of confidence when he gets the game time. I think it's probably the best, for us, for all parties, for us, and for his career, and for the progression of himself, for him to move on. And Real Betis, he's back in his home country in Spain, and hopefully he can flourish there. And we can look back in years to come and say, Pablo, thank you very much, because he was a decent, he always gave 100%, and we've always got that goal against Alkmaar to thank for him. I mean, that was just amazing under pressure to get us through and to massively assist our quest to European glory with the winner late on against AZ Alkmaar. That was a moment that we will all never forget. I mean, another moment for Pablo Fornals that comes into my mind is when he scored that goal against Leicester, where Creswell pinged the ball over during lockdown. He just took a couple of touches and drilled it into the corner. What a goal that was during, I think, was that October 2020, during a 3 or 4-0 victory over the Foxes. And then, of course, there's the videos of him singing West Ham are massive on a couple of occasions, when we beat Seville and when we got through to the final of the Conference League as well. It's just all good memories, and he seems like, he's come out in interviews, said he'd always be West Ham, Cockney and all this, and I think he's embraced us and we've embraced him. But as I said, ultimately, I think now is the natural time for us to let him go, and that is quite sad. But that performance against Sheffield United just simply wasn't up to it, whether it's his lack of confidence, lack of game time, or just lack of quality, unfortunately. Whichever option that you decide to believe, I think it's time for him to move on. And, there's videos of him bringing his children out of the London Stadium with no one there, singing Bubbles. He's just been brilliant. He's embraced the Cockney and he's embraced the West Ham, and he understands, the way of life and the meaning of West Ham and West Ham. And, we'll forever be grateful for him for that. But as I said, now it's time to move on, I believe. The second story of this show relates to Ben Johnson. This comes from David Ornstein from The Athletic, released about 10 minutes ago from me recording. West Ham have turned down an inquiry from Crystal Palace for Ben Johnson, a 24-year-old fullback out of contract this summer. West Ham plan to offer an improved deal in the coming weeks. Crystal Palace explored whether a sale would be possible before the deadline, but the idea was rebuffed. So what I can grasp from this very reputable source in David Ornstein of The Athletic is that there's just been an inquiry. There's just been, Crystal Palace have asked a simple question to Sullivan and the West Ham board. Is Ben Johnson available on a loan or a permanent deal? Obviously, noting that his contract is up in the summer as things stand. And I think, that's probably the right decision. And I think it shows and conveys the intent of West Ham getting him down to a new contract. He's out of contract in the summer, and we've rejected a potential move for him at the end of the January transfer window. So to me, that shows that we really want to nail him down to a contract in the coming weeks and get that sorted and get him long-term signed up to West Ham. I don't think the money's where it is for Ben Johnson. I don't think of course he'd like an improved wage, but I think the real sort of sticking point and the real turning point in contract negotiations, from what we can understand, is down to the game time. He wants game time, and you can't hold him up for that. You can't blame him for that. He's a 24-year-old who wants to play first team football week in, week out. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, we're currently not offering that to him. And that's where contract negotiations are falling down and, you know, breaking because we can't reach an agreement in that sense. And Moyes and Stein and Noble and Sullivan and whoever else involved have got to sit down and reach a compromise and reach a sort of middle ground where he can accept an offer where he thinks it's a viable option, it's a decent option and progression in his career, and because I want him to stay. I mean, that performance at Sheffield United I thought was excellent, and since that pretty much that Liverpool game where he was the only shining light in the Carabao Cup exit, he's really sort of up the ante, whether he's putting himself in the shop window or trying to prove himself to Moyes about his pleas and his contract requests and negotiations. I don't care which it is. I'd like him to stay, but at the end of the day, you can't blame him for wanting first team football, and we need to give him that. And whether that means he's going to have to start a right back, or he played brilliantly in midfield against Sheffield United. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, this isn't my job to work this out. This is the backroom staff and Moyes and whoever else to work out how we can get around this and how we can sign Ben Johnson up for a contract. I mean, it's no surprise that we've rejected an inquiry from Crystal Palace. Fellow Premier League club, don't want to strengthen them in that sense, right? On the 11th hour of the January transfer window. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all, because I knew we were trying to tie him down to a contract, but it consolidates that and it really proves that we need to work hard on this now. We need to get this sorted and resolved, and hopefully we can. Let's have faith in the people in charge, and hopefully they can get Ben Johnson signed up to a decent contract. He can be playing first team football, and everybody sort of flourishes through the agreement. So just to reiterate, Pablo Fornals' departure from West Ham United is unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you think, is imminent, with the midfielder set to join Real Betis on a permanent deal, and an announcement is expected in due course very soon. Whatever very soon means, I'm not entirely sure, but before the deadline is what we're hearing. That's the current latest news from XWU Employee. And what I've just discussed, Crystal Palace have inquired about the availability of Ben Johnson. We've swiftly rejected that and said, no, not interested in whatever you're going to offer. So to me, that suggests the contract negotiations will be stepped up from West Ham in the coming weeks, and hopefully let's sign him down to a long-term contract with all of the preferences that he wants in there as well. Put your thoughts into the comment section down below. What do you think about everything that I've discussed? Like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I've got a West Ham chat with Jordan tonight. I guess he's coming on to describe his West Ham story to us, so join us then on at 7:30, and then hit the notification bell as well, so you'll be notified when my opposition preview that I've literally just finished with Tom Jordan from the Back of the Net Bournemouth fan channel. That was a really good interview, giving a really good insight into AFC Bournemouth, of course, ahead of our game against them on Thursday night. So hit the notification bell so you're notified when that video comes out later this evening as well. So all go right here on West Ham Official. We're playing Thursday. It's deadline day as well. The place to be is here. We're going to keep you updated with short, sharp, fast, information-based videos. Of course, with my opinion chucked in there as well about all of the latest news regarding transfers, as the window and the deadline day door just creeps shut or slams shut, depending on our situation. Will Osman sign? Will Jota sign? Will Fornals go? Will Ben Rama go? Will Johnson go? Who else will we bring in? Will we bring in no one? Will we bring in loads of players? There's only one way to find out. Let's see what happens. From me, come on, you irons, and I'll see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.